What's going on, guys? We're back here for part 2 of prairie dog shooting. Part 1 was with FX Impact using the 30 caliber Hades, and this one is going to be with the Wildcat. This was all shot in the same day as the last video, but this one is using the Wildcat with some 22 caliber slugs. The description of the gun and details will be down in the description, so check it out if you guys want to know what setup the gun has, and what tune and whatnot. But this is the field that we're going to be shooting at, and let's get started. Alright guys, I got the gun swapped out. After holding over 15 to 10, depending on gusts, for windage is just a little too inconsistent. So I brought that Wildcat with slugs for this reason, and even though it's only 22 caliber, I'm shooting 22 grain slugs. Even though it's smaller, it's less affected by the wind, especially at these longer distances. So we're going to give the Wildcat a shot and see if we can bag a few more before we wrap it up for the day. So let's wait and see what pops up. Alright guys, we've got our first one with the Wildcat. It's probably about 40 yards. And he's about to go down. Nailed him. And he's down for the count. Alright, so first one for the Wildcat. I'm shooting the Wildcat with 22 grain, it's 22 cal, 22 grain Varmint Knockers, and they're the XLHP hollow points, extra large hollow point. And I'm shooting them at 1,025 feet per second, and they're very, very accurate out of this setup. I've got a 700mm barrel. It's the Slug Liner A. I got my reg pressure at about 150 bar, and my power wheel is on 7. My hammer pretension is set to 1/2 turn before max to where it won't cock, and that's the settings for this. And it shoots this, the NSA slugs. It shoots the JSB knockouts in 22. With this tune, this gun shoots a bunch of rounds very accurate, so this is a good harmonic tune for this. I've also got my own barrel band that I 3D printed right there. It does help when I have this in 25 caliber. I like to shoot with the Ronin, the suppressor, and it adds some weight and gives me some barrel droop, and with that barrel band it keeps things very consistent. So I really like this setup, that's why I brought it as my backup. And 50 yards, even in this wind, there was basically no hold over it. Put it right where it needed to. So let's give it a little bit more time, see what else pops up before we walk out there to collect them. I get the question asked sometimes, why do I go collect them? And the answer is, on this private property, we want to promote, we're trying to get rid of them 100%. And when you start leaving piles of them, the hawks, the crows, the coyotes, the foxes, they all start coming to this area to look for food. And it'll promote the natural predation on these prairie dogs from other animals, that they're natural predators. These prairie dogs aren't even supposed to be on this property. They're not native to this area. We're at 75 feet elevation, 7,500 feet elevation in the mountains, and a local gopher trapping company trapped all these prairie dogs and dumped them on what they thought was a vacant property out here, and now they've just took hold, and they've got the ground so torn up that nobody can really do anything with the property out here. So it's at the owner's request that we come out here and eliminate as many of these things as possible. So that's what we're doing out here, and that's what the mission has been. Let's wait and see what else pops up. All right, I got one over here, a cross shot kind of, and he's just kind of sitting there in the sun eating. Looks like he's 80 yards away. That's where he's at. I'm going to give him 3 minutes of angle. We'll give him a few for wind. nailed him. He just kicked over. Hit him again just for safe measure. And he's doing his death dance. So that was 80 yards, and I held 3 minutes of wind. Compared to what I was doing before, you know, with the pellets, that would have been closer to 10 minutes of angle for wind. So you can see the difference that the higher ballistic coefficient from the slugs makes. Even though it's a smaller caliber, the slug itself just cuts through the wind so much better and is less affected by it. So if you're shooting in the wind, you can do it with pellets, but it'll make your life easier to do it with slugs. Okay, this one, the wind was just a little too bad to stand watching. So one comes up, he's 35 yards away, get set up for the shot. This is a left-handed shot. Acquire him in the scope and get everything set. Boom, definitely didn't make it. That's a chip shot for this setup. I try to go for a follow-up shot here, and you can't see it on camera, but there's a strand of barbed wire kind of right in front of me at this angle, and I ended up zinging one off into the distance. He ain't going nowhere. Alright guys, I got one out there. Let me see here. He's 80 yards. So I'm going to give him three minutes of angle. See if I can find him in the scope. There he is right there. That was a hit. Alright, so that's 80 yards with the old 22 grain Varmint Knocker, and you can see it still has plenty of power at that distance to put him down with one shot. He's still out there kicking. That just kind of goes to show you don't need 34 grain, you know, super heavy 22 cal slugs to do this kind of pest control. But you're never going to do that with a pellet. You know, even a 25 caliber pellet at that distance, it loses so much energy and they don't expand. You're not going to get the same type of performance that you can. So there's really no comparison when it comes to slugs and pellets. A slug punches way above its weight compared to a pellet. That was no wind holdover. I was kind of shooting into the wind at that last shot, but the wind was coming kind of at a 45-degree angle, and I didn't have to have no holdover for wind. That slug went straight to where I was aiming, and just you know, put him down for the count. So if you guys are considering, you know, long-range pest control, you can stick with 22 caliber, 25 caliber. Just make sure you choose a soft slug like a Varmint Knocker. The Patriot Javelins are also an excellent slug. They don't quite perform as well as far as expansion compared to the Varmint Knockers, but they're very close, and they'll definitely get the job done as well. Now that I'm here talking, I've got another one. Oh, he just went. No, he's up there. I've got one out there at 115 yards. I'm gonna give him 9.5. Okay. Okay, let's see here. There he is. I'm gonna give him 5 minutes for wind. Let's dial down to 8. There he is. Alright. He's down for the count. So it's 115 yards. And again, you saw how much wind holdover I had. At that same distance with the 30 caliber Hades, I was at like 15 minutes of drift, of wind drift. So much easier with the slugs again. This is going to be turning out to be a good video to demonstrate. Even though the slugs, even though the Hades pellets are going 1,012, they're still no match for the wind, and they're no match for the performance of a slug when it comes to cutting the wind at long distance. Alright, I'm going to spare you guys the wind noise on this one as well. I spot one out there off in the distance. I think he's about 80. Use a rangefinder, and he's actually at 75 yards. And I dial 2 1/4 minute of angle for holdover on elevation, and then I look to acquire him here in the scope. And there he is, right on the top of that mound. It's a pretty strong breeze. The wind's not quite 90 degrees. It's slightly blowing into my face, and take the shot and nailed him. Here in the slow motion you can see it just hit him right in the spine. That sucker's down for the count. So that was another one at, what did I say, 75 yards? Not bad. Well, we've got quite a few of them so far. I'm guessing by the way my windsock is blowing on my microphone. I've got an external mic. It's a quality mic with a quality windsock, but sometimes it's just so windy that that there's nothing I can do. So if that's the case, portions of this video will be voiced over, just so you guys can understand what's going on and still watch the footage. We'll probably give it another 30-45 minutes, and then we'll go out there and see what we can find and collect. I would also like to compare some of the damage done from the Hades compared to the slugs, the 22 caliber slugs. So let's see what else pops up, and then we'll be ready to wrap it up. Alright guys, I got one out here. "96 yards. I'm gonna give him 7.5 minutes. There's a slight breeze, so I'm barely gonna give him 2 minutes for wind. Dropped him. That was a beautiful shot. 96 yards. Got the dope right. Got the wind right. So 96 yards and 2 minutes of wind. That's goes to show again that these slugs dominate in the wind. It does suck to be out in the wind sometimes, and most air gunners probably don't want to shoot in the wind. If you have slugs and you get out and practice, figure out what your dope is for your wind drift, it's not impossible at all. That was probably one of the better shots of the day right there. First shot, dropped him, rolled him off of his mound. Alright, we'll give it another 15-20 minutes, and the action's kind of died down. A lot of them stopped yipping. I think they know what's going on, that if they pop up, they're going to get whacked. So we'll give it a little bit more, and then we'll go out there and collect them. yards in the weeds. Alright, looks like he was hit. I'm not sure how solid that was. I might have just grazed him. We'll see if we recover anything when we start searching. So this guy popped up 35 yards away. It was kind of a surprise, didn't have time to turn on the camera. Capitalized on it. I didn't want him to get back down into the hole. Slow motion is coming up, and I just absolutely smashed him. You guys will be able to see by the concussion that it left. This one was another windy one, one of the better shots of the day. This is 115 yards. I've got 8 minutes dialed on my scope, and all I can see is his head, and I let one fly, and you can see this one kind of curling in there, aiming right on target, and wham, smashed him right in his face. And I did recover that. If you guys want to see a picture of that, you guys will have to check out my Instagram. I don't want to post any up closes, but let's just say I hit him right under his eye, and in between his eye and his nose. Alright guys, I got everything piled up. We're ready for the pictures for final comparisons. Now, I don't want to get this video demonetized, so I'm not going to show too much of the details. If you guys do want to see some of the Corey comparisons, go to my Instagram. It's dang.ol.winner, same as my YouTube name, and check out some of the pics there. I'll post the pictures there. I'm less likely to get in trouble over there. So here's what we have. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 for the day. Probably didn't collect 1 or 2. Not a big deal. I'm not going to show these in too much detail. The body shots from the Hades, they definitely did a number, but not to say that it was more substantial than just that 22 slug. You know, what matters more is how the round performs as far as expansion. Here's another good look at the gun. I've got a Saber Tactical adjustable buttstock, Saber Tactical cheek riser. I've got a Saber Tactical rail on the bottom. I'm running the side shot scope cam. All this information will be in the description. I'm running the Donnie FL Ronin on the Wildcat. I've got the Tatsu. I've also got a custom bipod clamp that I made myself, custom barrel band that I made myself. I've also got a magazine holder right there. Get out of the sun. That you can see. I also 3D print those. If you guys are interested in any of these 3D printed products, just leave me a comment and I'll get back to you. Everything went pretty good today. This is going to be probably part 2. I don't know. I'm not sure how I'll quite edit this stuff. This is probably going to be a 2-part video. You guys have already seen that by now. Hopefully you enjoyed the slow motion, and you know, this was a pretty fun day. I'm going to be back out several more trips. I've got 3 other areas to go shoot like this, plus the out-of-town Colorado trip. So definitely stay tuned for some more prairie dog busting action. And if you guys have any suggestions for future videos, just leave me a comment in the comment section. Thank you guys for watching.